Welcome and thank you for standing by. Currently, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded and the recording will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'd like to turn the call over to your host for today, host and presenter for today, Ryan Rishardi.
Thank you, Stacy. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar titled Geography and the American Community Survey. My name is Ryan Rishardi, and I work in the American Community Survey Office at the U.S. Census Bureau. With me today is my colleague, John Polosino, a geographer within the Geography Division at the Census Bureau. If you have questions during the webinar, please submit them using the Q&A feature, and my colleagues will try to answer them during the webinar. The PDF version of the slides is available at the link shown here. Also, today's webinar is being recorded and the recording will be available online after the webinar. Before we talk about the ACS, let's start with a quick overview of the U.S. Census Bureau as a whole. The Census Bureau is the largest primary federal government statistical agency. Our mission is to serve as the nation's leading provider of quality data about its people and economy. We strive to provide the most up-to-date, useful, quality data and products. Many people are familiar with the once every 10-year census, also known as the decennial census, but we also conduct more than 130 censuses and surveys of households and businesses across the nation each year. This includes the American Community Survey and more than 30 other household surveys. There are also over 60 economic programs. Of these, the economic census is the largest and most comprehensive. There is also information on our nation's public sector provided by the Census of Governments. Here is the outline for today's presentation. In the first part of today's webinar, I will go over the basics of the American Community Survey and key ACS geography information. Then I will turn the presentation over to my colleague, John Polosino, where he will discuss more general information about census geography. After that, John and I will conduct a live demonstration on a few geography data access tools. We will then close out by providing you with resources to learn more about the ACS and geography, as well as ways to reach out to us. The American Community Survey, or ACS, is the premier source of detailed information about the nation's people and housing. The survey samples approximately 3.5 million addresses and about 150,000 group quarter residents each year. These data are collected continuously throughout the year to produce annual social, economic, housing, and demographic estimates for communities throughout the United States and Puerto Rico. The estimates cover more than 40 topics. The ACS collects this detailed information each year that was previously collected each decade in the long-form census. Information from the ACS generates data that help inform how trillions of dollars in federal funds are distributed each year, supporting many federal and non-federal uses. ACS data are released the year immediately after they are collected. The ACS creates period estimates, which means they represent the characteristics of the population and housing over a specific data collection period. The ACS releases estimates for 1-year and 5-year periods. After years of extensive testing, the ACS was fully implemented in 2005. The first ACS 1-year estimates were collected in 2005 and released in 2006. The first 5-year ACS estimates were collected between 2005 and 2009 and released in 2010. This slide shows common ACS data users. Local planners and policymakers, businesses, nonprofits, researchers, and more all use ACS data in their work. For example, the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission recently used ACS data for their Central Ohio Greenways project. This project uses poverty, unemployment, vehicle ownership, and other data generated from the ACS to inform the construction of trails around Central Ohio. The project connects rural and urban communities and provides recreation and an alternate modes of transportation for residents. This is just one example of the kinds of people and organizations that use ACS data. The data collected on the ACS can be categorized into four main types of characteristics: social, economic, demographic, and housing. Social characteristics of the population can include topics like educational attainment and veteran status. Economic characteristics include topics like means of transportation to work and health insurance coverage. Demographic population characteristics include topics like race and sex. And lastly, we have data on housing unit characteristics. These include topics like year structure built and home value. It also includes new topics added in 2025: electric vehicles, solar panels, and public sewer connectivity. Data for these new topics are planned to be released and jumping ahead here. Data for these new topics are planned to be released in 2026. Earlier, I mentioned the different data products the ACS provides: 1 year supplemental, and 5-year estimates. These data products are released about 1 year after the data are collected. ACS data are generally released in September the calendar year after collection as 1-year estimates, in October the calendar year after collection as 1-year supplemental estimates, and 5-year estimates are generally released in December the calendar year after collection. For example, the 1-year ACS data collected from January 1st through December 31st of 2024 are planned to be released in September 2025. ACS 1-year estimates, which combine data collected over 12 months, are available for geographic areas with a population of 65,000 or more. ACS 1-year supplemental estimates are a subset of detailed tables that are available for geographic areas with populations of 20,000 or more. ACS 5-year estimates combine data collected over 60 months, are available for geographic areas of all sizes, from block groups all the way up to nation. The planned data release schedule for the upcoming 2024 ACS data release is shown here. For a more detailed view of the 2024 data product release schedule, view the link you see on the slide. Next, I am going to talk about ACS geography. There are two main types of geographic areas: legal and administrative areas and statistical areas. Legal and administrative areas are defined specifically by law and include state, local, and tribal government units. Many, but not all, are represented by elected officials. Statistical areas are defined directly by the Census Bureau and state, regional, or local authorities, and include geographies like census tracts and urban areas. The primary purpose of statistical areas is to tabulate and present census data. Here's an example of some selected geographies for El Paso, Texas. The state of Texas and the county of El Paso are legal geographies, while census tracts and block groups are statistical geographies. Census tracts are small statistical subdivisions within a county with populations between 1,200 and 8,000 people. Block groups are a group of blocks within a census tract, and they contain between 600 and 3,000 people, as you can see blown out in the right corner of the screen. And of course, states and counties are geographies you are probably already familiar with. The ACS is one of the few surveys that has data at the census tract and block group level. This ability to provide data at small levels is a big appeal of the ACS. We will explore the differences in geography levels in our live demonstration portion of the presentation. Here is a county map that shows you which releases are available for different parts of the country. In this map, the counties shaded dark blue receive 1-year, 1-year supplemental, and 5-year estimates. These are counties with a population of 65,000 or more. The lighter blue counties receive 1-year supplemental and 5-year estimates. These are counties with a population of 20,000 or more. While the yellow counties only receive 5-year estimates, These are counties with a population below 20,000. So it's important to pay attention to which estimates are available for which geography. As you can see, in many counties in the Northeast, there are lots of counties that meet the 65,000 population threshold, which means you can get the latest one-year data each year. However, counties in the Dakotas and down to North Texas are shaded yellow, so those counties only have 5-year estimates available. However, for counties shaded in yellow, once combined into a larger population geography like a state, the state itself will receive the one-year data due to meeting the 65,000 population threshold. For example, many of the counties in North and West Texas are shaded yellow and therefore only receive the 5-year data. But when those smaller counties are combined into a larger population geography, like the state of Texas itself, data users can find 1-year and 5-year data for Texas as a whole state. ACS data are tabulated for a variety of different geographic areas, ranging in size from broad geographic regions to cities, towns, county subdivisions, and block groups. It may be helpful for data users to find the total number of geographies published in 1-year supplemental, and 5-year estimates. The data for the most recent ACS estimates, 2023, can be found on our Areas Published page shown on the left. Detailed lists for previous years can be found on our Reference Materials page shown on the right. I want to reiterate here that there are population thresholds for the publishing of the 3 types of ACS estimates. These areas published documents show, for example, that there are ACS 1-year estimates for 639 places and 234 county subdivisions in 2023. The data also show that there are ACS 5-year estimates for over 32,000 places and over 36,000 county subdivisions. This is useful information to know if you're planning data analysis for specific types of geographies. ACS data are published every year, but the geography boundaries used for each data year estimate may vary. This is because geography boundaries are constantly changing. For example, incorporated places may annex new territory, and congressional districts are updated every 10 years and sometimes more often. To reflect these and other changing geographies, we publish a list every year of the geographic areas and the latest available geographic boundaries, called vintages, on our Geography Boundaries by Year webpage. For example, on this page, you can find out that the 2023 ACS 1-year and 5-year estimates use incorporated places that existed as of January 1st, 2023, and they use census tracts based off the 2020 census. You can browse a list of all geography vintages for all ACS data years on this page through the URL at the bottom of the slide. One important ACS geography is the Public Use Microdata Area, or PUMA. PUMAs are non-overlapping statistical geographic areas that partition each state or equivalent entity into geographic areas containing no fewer than 100,000 people each. They cover the entirety of the United States and Puerto Rico. PUMAs are a Census Bureau created geography used for the tabulation and dissemination of decennial census and ACS PUMs. Additionally, the ACS and Puerto Rico Community Survey use them to disseminate their respective period estimates. The delineation of new PUMAs occurs after the completion of the decennial census as part of a program involving the state data centers. Decennial census population counts and updated census tracts are critical inputs into the delineation process. The image on this slide shows all the PUMAs for Wyoming. PUMAs are especially important for data users because they are the smallest level of geography available when using the ACS microdata, or PUMs. By following the link here, you can learn more about PUMAs and find links to reference maps and other useful PUMA resources. And now I'd like to turn the presentation over to my colleague, John.
Thanks so much, Ryan. We're going to go over some basics about Census Bureau geography. Thank you for joining us and how it relates to the ACS. If you go to the next slide. So we'll go over how the geography program at the Census Bureau makes sure that all the data you get in the ACS is accurate for the people that are living there. And so we'll go over how we understand where people live. We'll go over some of the geographic areas that you're able to see using the different surveys that the Census Bureau creates. We'll go over how you get geographic codes to link geographic data with ACS data. And I'll go over a live demo of one of our interactive maps, which will help find some of those geographic areas. If you go to the next slide. So the geography program helps creates the frame for the ACS and other surveys. We do this by continual updates of our addresses, roads, and boundaries. We update our addresses all the time using the USPS delivery sequence file, which is a list of all addresses that the US Postal Service delivers to in the US. We do this so that when surveys are sent out, they are sent to the correct people. And when the responses come back, they come back and we know where those people live so that all the data from their responses are located correctly. We update roads all the time using partnership programs, including involving local governments, state governments, so that we can make sure that the roads in which create some of those boundaries are accurate as well. We also do boundary updates, including the Boundary and Annexation Survey, which is done annually. If any local governments add or subtract land area from their boundaries so that the most up-to-date information is available on that geographic area. We'll go next. And so this is a breakdown of all the different geographies we have available. Some of them nest within each other, such as block groups, tracts, and counties. Others don't, and that depends on the state. And I'll go over some examples of where that is and isn't the case. But all of these different geographies are available for you to get information from the ACS. And it's important to understand what geography you want to get information on so that you get the correct geographic information and the correct survey information so that those could be linked together. And I'll show you how to do that. If you go to the next slide. So every geography we have has a geographic code or GeoID. In this case, we have the county codes for Colorado. So you're able to get these codes. On the bottom, there's a link there to some of our list of geo-identifiers. So they're able to get the geography from our geographic files, link them to the same tables in the ACS from data.census.gov, and so that they both speak to each other and link together. So if you write down some of these, you'll be able to find your specific county or specific place, etc. So if you go to the next slide. This is another table, and you can see the links down there to how you get some of these codes, which include the American National Standards Institute, so that all of these, which creates these codes so that the geographic codes are consistent across the federal government. So in this example, you see the FIPS code, which is the Federal Information Processing Series for this town of Fanning Springs City. And so that FIPS code places the location within the state of Florida, which has a FIPS code of 12. You get some other information on this city, including that's an incorporated place, and even the legal status, which is an A, which means active, which means that it provides services to its citizens. Some don't, some are census designated places, and those are created by the Census Bureau and do not provide services. So information on your specific location can be found in these tables, so you find a little bit more information on it and how to link the different data from our different sources. If you continue. And so now I'll go over a live demonstration of one of our products. So you could really sense looking at maps and such is way more fun than just looking at some text on a screen. And some of those interactive tools and information can be found. These are a variety of our tools that we have. I'll be doing a demonstration using TigerWeb, so we'll go over that last. About the Census Geocoder, you're able to enter in an address and it gives you all the geographic information on that one address or many addresses. Our TigerLine shapefiles are our shapefiles, which can be used in GIS software to create your own maps, linking it with ACS and other Census Bureau data. And we have a bunch of cool interactive maps available, which sort of display some of the different information, such as housing units or demographic data. So you could do a visual comparison across the country. And all this can be found at census.gov/geo. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And here we are in Tiger Web. Again, it could be found going to census.gov/geo. And you could see the whole country here. We have, there's different types of maps available. This is just a landmass map. You could go to a, just the view without the terrain, satellite imagery, and then back to the terrain view. We have all the different layers available here on our left, and we're going to zoom in to southern Nassau County on Long Island to get a sense of what's going on here. First, we'll turn on the places. And we can see this area is filled with in different places, indicating a very densely settled area. All of these different shaded are different places within what's called a minor civil division, an MCD. That's New York is an MCD state, which means there's a level of geography between a place and a county. In this case, this is the town of Hempstead. And all of these places are either incorporated places, which are the bold text, or a CDP or census designated place, which are the italicized text. Census designated places do not provide services, do not have a local government, but have an understood geographic boundary and name used mostly for addressing, but also so you could get data on that location. Zooming in a little bit closer in the area around Freeport and Baldwin. Again, Freeport would be an incorporated place, Baldwin a census designated place. We could see some other levels of geography you might want to get information on here, in which those sometimes link up and sometimes don't. For example, if we turn on school districts, which will be shown in purple, you can see that Baldwin School District incorporates much of Baldwin, but not all of it, and even some parts of Freeport. We could do something similar with the ZICTAs. So ZICTAs are zip code tabulation areas, and those are a geographic representation of a zip code. But as you could see, they don't line up exactly one-to-one with the zip code they may be assigned to. For example, this little section is within Baldwin's zip code, but says it's an Oceanside, and that's because zip codes are not a physical geographic feature, but a route that a local post office delivers to. So sometimes they fall within a geographic area and sometimes they don't. So depending on your location, depending on what you're looking for, they may be more or less useful. And we can see as Ryan mentioned, there's a consistent geography across the whole country, tracts and blocks, which have similar populations. And we can see just how densely populated this area is. All those bold lines are tracts. So within each of these tracts, has several thousand people, around 3,000 people or so within each of these. So you can see just how densely populated this area is, particularly if you turn on a road. So you can see all the roads that are here. That makes it a little bit busy, so we'll turn that off. This is one example of how geography is built in this country, but there are many other ways that states organize themselves. So I'm actually going to zoom out to a much more rural area in coal mining country of Pike County, Kentucky. As you can see with the land shade, you can see all the mountainous areas here and see how less densely built up all the places are. We'll turn on those tracts again, and you can see there are much bigger tracts. And in this case, this is a CCD state or census civil division, meaning there is no legal geography between it and places and counties. So we create our own just for statistical consistent purposes, such as Raccoon. Here, this is a tract and a CCD. You could also see places like Pikeville are not contained within one tract, or tract boundaries don't follow it. In the previous examples they did. This also shows how the power of local government might be not as strict as it was in New York. We'll get other examples of how these things break up. In this example, you could see the red lines are ZICTAs, and our PUMs, as was indicated a little bit earlier, the Puma area is much bigger. Again, he's around 100,000, so that's a much bigger area covered by that. So we get information there. So you could zoom around the map as you'd like, but we also have several search functions here in TigerWeb. So I know where I live. I want to get the geographic information on that. I'm going to add, there's no real addresses here. This is nobody lives in this address. This is just for a demonstration here. So this is, excuse me, so you can put that in, and it zooms us to another part of the country, in this case, just north of Cincinnati. And if you remember, in the New York example, how everything fit together very nicely like puzzle pieces. Ohio, it doesn't fit that way. So it depends on where you're looking at, what sort of data you want, and what place you're looking at in order to figure out what GeoID or map you want to look at. So if you just want to get information on Monroe, Ohio, that would be a sprawling place here that goes over 2 counties and several different townships. So you would have to really select that if you want to get information, because if you get information on Lemon Township, they'll have an area that's not within Monroe. Or if you get information on Butler, some of Monroe will be missing. In this area, this also goes over into our ZICTAs, which also break the boundaries. So if you want information on what you might think is Monroe's zip code, possibly 45050, that would only include this area, not the rest of it. So going to TigerWeb first will give you a good sense of what you're going to get information from before you get that survey information from data.census.gov or any other source. We also have a function here where you could query. Again, let's say you had gotten GeoID, you know where you want to get data from. This is a place where you could make sure that that's the correct place you want to go to. And you could do that by selecting what sort of map you want. We're going to go to a place, an incorporated place. And I had already looked up in those tables the GeoID I want. In this case, we're going to 6421160. We're going to submit. And that'll take us to Kalamazoo, Michigan. But as I noted earlier, you really need to be very careful about what you select, because Kalamazoo happens to sit within Kalamazoo Township, which was within Kalamazoo County. And to make things even a little bit more confusing, the school district here is also Kalamazoo. So when someone is referring to Kalamazoo, you want to make sure you know which Kalamazoo you want. So let's say you work for a local government or some sort of surveying company, or you're doing a paper. You want to make sure you're all consistent on what Kalamazoo, what town, what incorporated place you want your data from, because they can be different even if they have the same name. And so using this tool in conjunction with our tables and in conjunction with the ACS data you could get from data.census.gov, you'll be able to make sure that when we get data from a respondent, we have their address. Their address is located within the correct geographies, within the correct spot. So all the data they give us is correctly allocated to the various geographies they belong to. And so the survey data you get is accurate. So that whole link is how geography is important for use in the ACS. Thanks so much. Go ahead, Ryan.
All right, thank you, John. I'm gonna jump back into the PowerPoint presentation. All right. Okay. So we have many data access tools that are general for all geographies, and we have several data tools that cater to specific geographies. So for example, data.census.gov, QuickFacts, and Census Business Builder, and others are available for many geographies. Some data tools like My Tribal Area and My Congressional District are tools specifically designed to provide ACS data for tribal areas and congressional districts, respectively. All the tools shown on this slide are available from the census.gov main page. I want to now take a few moments to conduct a live demonstration. I'm going to demonstrate how to access data from data.census.gov, the Census Bureau's main data dissemination platform. I want to show you a new geography feature in our data.census.gov website, so I will go there now. Okay. So we now have land area data in data.census.gov. So let's say you wanted to know the land area of all counties in Wisconsin. To access it, simply click Advanced Search under here. Then under Surveys, you're going to select Geography, and then you're going to select the Geography Information checkbox. Next, we'll scroll up here under Geographies. We'll select County. And remember, we want this data for all counties in Wisconsin. So I'm going to scroll down to Wisconsin, select that. And there's an option at the top here for all counties within Wisconsin. Alternatively, you could select individual counties you would want data for, but I'll go ahead and select all counties within Wisconsin. And then I'm going to click Search in the bottom right. Now, on this page that appears, we'll want to click on this GeoInfo table. And there you have it. This table lists each county in Wisconsin with land area in square meters and square miles, water area in square meters and square miles, and the table also includes latitude and longitude points. When using this geographic information from other Census Bureau surveys and programs, such as to calculate population density, be sure to use the appropriate geographic vintage that is relevant to the reference year for your data set. For example, the 2023 ACS uses boundaries that correspond to the 2023 GeoInfo table. This GeoInfo table on data, oops, sorry about that. Jump back. Where was I at? The GeoInfo table on data.census.gov was first released for the 2023 vintage. We plan to release updated vintages each summer and add prior vintages back to 2020. GeoInfo tables that correspond to decennial census years cover more geographic levels than other vintages of GeoInfo tables, and this is because the Census Bureau only publishes demographic data for certain geographic levels through the decennial census, such as at the blocks geographic level. So I hope this land area table demonstration was useful to you. Next, I will jump into another way to use data.census.gov. For the next portion of my live demonstration, I want to highlight the ability of data.census.gov to toggle between multiple geographies. For this example, we're going to go back to Kalamazoo, and I'm going to show you how to retrieve data from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Now you may be wondering which Kalamazoo, and that's a great question because there is Kalamazoo the place, aka city. There's also Kalamazoo County, the Kalamazoo Portage Metropolitan Statistical Area, and the Kalamazoo Public School District. There are actually even more Kalamazoo areas, but we'll stick to these four for now. So we're going to toggle between all these Kalamazoo geographies to show you the capabilities of data.census.gov. So let's go back to the main page by clicking the Census Bureau logo in the top left here. I'm going to click Advanced Search. And then I'm going to start applying my geographies. So first, I'm going to apply Kalamazoo the place. So I'll select place. And Michigan. And then I'll type Kalamazoo. All right, and then I selected that checkbox. Wait for it to load. All right, next I'll select Kalamazoo, the county. So I'll select county, Michigan. Okay. Sometimes takes its time. Okay. Next, Kalamazoo Portage Metropolitan Statistical Area. So I'll select that. Start that. Okay, and then we'll wait for that to load again. And we'll select our last one. Okay, and then we're going to do the Kalamazoo School District. And for that, we're going to have to select all geographies. And this shows even more geographies than the ones that were just listed there. And I will scroll down to School District Unified, Michigan. All right. And now that I have that selected, I'm going to go ahead and select search in the bottom right here. And this now brings us a list of tables that all apply for the geographies that we selected. I'm going to select table S0101, age and sex, which is an ACS subject table. This subject table contains a detailed age breakdown by sex for our selected geographies. So up here on the top left, I can toggle between 1 year and 5-year estimates I mentioned earlier. So I'll go ahead and use the 5-year estimates. You could use either because Kalamazoo has over 65,000 people, which is the cutoff to have 1-year estimates. But for this demonstration, I want to show you 5-year data. All right, so here you can find the data in table S0201. I can scroll up and down, and I can also scroll left and right. You can see the county, city, there, keeps going. So it's a pretty detailed table. So now this may be a lot to look at, and some people are more visual. So let's go to the map view by selecting the map icon. So you can see the geography is selected here, the Kalamazoo School District, as well as other geographies here not selected. So I'm going to edit this table or this map view just a little bit by clicking up here. And this allows you to select different variables. I'm going to go ahead and change it to numbers instead of percents. And then I'm going to look at the under 18 years population. And there's an option for that. So I'll go ahead and select that. And now I can see when I click here, this number 20,346, that is the number of people living in the Unified School District of Kalamazoo that are under 18 years. If you're ever curious which one is currently selected, it's also shown up here. Additionally, I can select other geographies that I didn't initially select. So let's say I'm interested in the Comstock Public Schools. I can select that and click select. And then I select that, and it's telling me there are 3,759 people under the age of 18 in the Comstock Public School District. So I'll go ahead and unselect that. So go back and I will zoom out just a little bit. You can also change layers in data.census.gov by selecting the layer icon. So I can click this, and let's say I wanted to go back to place. So I think it's up actually. Okay. So I can select place. Now you can see Kalamazoo, Michigan, the place is now selected. And when I select that, you can see there's 13,825 people. Additionally, I could select another place, such as Galesburg, select, and I can see there are 526 people under the age of 18. I can switch to any of the other geographies that I had selected earlier. So for example, I could select county. And once again, there are 56,263 people under the age of 18 in Kalamazoo, the county. I can also change the statistic. So I can go back here and let's just say I'm interested in over the age 65 years and over. So there's an option for that. I will select that. And again, that's shown up here and it's also shown right here. And now you can see the number has changed because it's now producing the statistic for the number of people age 65 or older in Kalamazoo, the county. You can also overlay one set of boundaries on another by clicking on the Boundaries button up here. So I am going to select just a couple of the other geographies that we had selected. So I'm going to select place, and then I will select the school district as well. So now we can zoom in and we can see the public school districts selected. Then there's also the places overlaid on top of that as well. And then you have county over this as well. So this allows you to see different geographies overlaid one another. You can also click colors up here and you could change the color scheme to any color you want. So if you wanted red, you could change it to red. And lastly, you can also even switch the years up here by selecting the year icon, and it's currently selected to 2023, but if I wanted to change it to a previous year, I could do that, and then it would produce statistics for that year. And you can jump back to the table view at any time by clicking the table icon here, and then click View Full Table. And then we're back to where we started in the table view. So that concludes my portion of the live presentation. I hope you found this useful. Now I will go back to the presentation. Okay. Now we would like to leave you with some resources for learning more about the ACS and geography. So first we have the ACS main page, which is a great tool to start with if you have questions about ACS. This page can be found by going to census.gov, selecting surveys/programs, then selecting ACS, or simply go to census.gov/ACS. The ACS website contains a wealth of information about the survey, data products, tools for data users, and other helpful information. We have data user handbooks available on the address on the slide. These handbooks are provided in PDF format and are downloadable. Each handbook is directed towards a specific audience and contains how-to instructions on using data in different ways or for different reasons. Each handbook also contains case studies showing actual instances of how ACS data was used by the specified audience of the handbook. As you can see from the list of available handbooks, there is one dedicated exclusively to geography. Before we wrap up today's webinar, we'd like to invite you to stay in touch with us. One way is by telling us how you use data from the ACS. If you have used ACS data to start a community project or a business, please let us know about it. Also, consider joining a group we have specifically for users of ACS data, known simply as the ACS Data Users Group. This group includes a website and online community with over 7,000 members where you can share messages, materials, and announcements related to the survey. Membership is free and open to all interested ACS data users. Finally, you can sign up for the American Community Survey and Geography email updates through the hyperlinks available on the right. In closing, here is some information to reach us directly. You can reach out to either the American Community Survey Office or the Geography Division by phone or by email at the contact information listed on this slide. You can also visit our respective websites, census.gov/ACS and census.gov/geo to learn more about each topic. And with that, I would like to thank all of you for joining us on this webinar today. Again, a recording of today's webinar, along with the slides and a transcript, will be posted online shortly. This concludes the webinar. I hope you have a great day.
Thanks so much.